or whatever.
So yeah, medium is basically there's medium large basically once we start looking at what we wanted with the Apollo, which is having several patients on doing this kind of stuff over a large distance, this kind of stuff. We thought, well, it's too big to be a small ship. And the issue is that even if the Endeavour is massive, like bigger than large was too big for what we wanted to do. So medium was basically the sweet spot, even if it's close to some ships that you can think are a bit too small on some ships that are a bit too close to large. So it's a bit tight, but it's the sweet spot basically to do what we wanted to do, which is, well, we will talk about it. We've seen that in ship shape and other stuff, but it was a sweet spot on a medium ship is basically going around, but without needing a lot of people with you to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the larger you get, the larger extra stuff you have to factor in. They start becoming big targets, so you either need to start throwing turrets all over the place on them, which then, if they're manned turrets, you need spaces for people to be in those manned turrets, you need spaces to get to them, or you start sort of almost needing larger components to provide that defense, which then just makes it a bigger ship, at which point you're back to being a large one. So medium just fits that goal nicely. And if you compare it to the Cutlass, right, they're the same sort of width if you factor in the Cutlass's engines, which sort of artificially bloat it, but it is a fair length longer, and because of the shape of it, whilst on paper it doesn't seem that much bigger than a Cutlass, there's a lot more usable space in it.
Okay. All right, so obviously the Apollo promotion will start in earnest later on today. The preview for concierge members started last night, and it's got a fun game, by the way. If you haven't played the game by some of our developers in the UK studio, I highly recommend checking that out. What can you tell us about the stats now? And obviously, again, the promotion page will come out later today. We're hoping right around the time that this show ends, so hopefully less than an hour from now. But what can you tell us about the stats now? Cargo, armament, armor, that kind of stuff.
So in terms of stats, like John said, it's basically a bit longer than a Cutlass, but about the same width. So it's 43 meters long, 30 meters wide, and 10 meters high. It has 28 SCU. So the thing is that it's separated into 2 rooms at the back. It's not a big room that you got. You got 2 entrances. Basically, you got a small lift, like at the front of the Constellation, which is basically for the crew. And at the rear, you got a big ramp which also allows you to work as a big docking collar if you want. Outside of that, in terms of speed, it's relatively a bit like the Freelancer, if I remember well, which is 205 meters per second for the Freelancer, for the base variant, on 195 meters per second for the Medivac variant. The thing that is different between the speed is that, as people might see later on, or I've already seen, is that the Medivac variant is better armored, but it's a bit slower and not as maneuverable. So you're
trading that.
Yeah.
Do you want the
Sorry,
faster, more nimble?
I'm eating food. I was watching this NPC.
Squadron 42, or are you talking about like a player? You said 6 strips. Let's say a hammerhead here.
We're talking a ship in PU where you actually will hire a crew to man your station. Because let's say today your friends are not online and you just want to have some fun, you will have your NPC crew that you hire and raise and train and all of the lovely stuff, and they will have a schedule. What you can do as the owner of the ship and the captain, you can say, yeah, you're always on red alert. Then everyone will be at the stations. What that will do, it will cause their morale to drop. If you keep them always at the station, they'll go hungry, which again drops morale. They'll not be happy. Their performance will decrease. So it's up to you how you want to do it. If you want to always keep them on red alert because you know stuff is about to happen, fair enough. But at some point, you have to let them do their stuff. And if they don't get enough sleep, they get cranky and all this lovely stuff.
All right. When's that happening?
Soon.
I
Why might you ask?
Yeah. Keep an eye on the public roadmap for when AI subscription interactions like AI crew and stuff, are making their way towards Star Citizen. It's a good time to remember. I asked the question, but it's a good time to remind folks that we've built an entire public roadmap to answer all when-related questions to the best of our abilities for a year out. So when you have a when-related question, always check that roadmap to get the best idea that we have about when something will make its way to Star Citizen. All right, Dan, I'll let you go. Thanks so much, man.
Oh, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, thanks so much, Dan. Now we're moving on to Chad McKinney in our Los Angeles studio for a question about ship settings persistence. Chad, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing well. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, well, we're in the same distance. We see each other at lunch occasionally.
Yeah.
You want to get cheesesteak truck today?
Maybe.
All right. Question from the backers, voted by the backers, says, what are the plans for ship configuration persistence? I'd like to keep my settings like selected MFDs, weapons groups, selected countermeasures, wow, module power settings, stealth configuration, state of headlines, basically all the ship settings. They want those to persist between the times where they log out and log back in. What do we got?
That's a good question. I think that it gets at kind of this desire from the player base to have a more continuous kind of player experience. The fundamental systems to get this done exist. There's basically two ways that you can do this. You can either, one, locally persist them. So that means we're effectively writing these in some way to some file on disk. And then if you go into the game, out and out, in and out, whatever, they're going to be there. But if you change machines, then at that point you would lose all of your settings. An alternative is actually that we persist them into your player account and the persistence database. And in that way, actually, if you change machines, then it would actually travel with you, which would be maybe useful for some people. But both of those systems, both saving things to disk and persisting them in the database, exist. We have ways for game code to have access to them, to be able to come up with a set of what we call persistent variables and persist those across sessions. And so really, at this point, the fundamental systems are there. It's up to each individual team, each individual feature owner to take a look at what they have and try to figure out what they think is worth persisting and what they have time to do, and what the priority for all of it is. So all of this could be done.
Yes. Just watching his reply and then watch something else.
UI is, so we may need to maybe expose some custom interface for setting or updating these things, or maybe it's somehow in game. We like to do that a lot. But the fundamental, like I said, the fundamental systems are there, and now it's just kind of up to the individual teams to kind of decide for themselves the priority and whether or not they want to persist an individual thing in the game.
Right, and to answer the question of whether we're going to be able to do it or whether we're going to do it and stuff like that would require a call to each of those individual teams.
Yes.
I went to you because you can talk about
from
the tech.
yes, that's a few days old video.
It's there. It's just something that our individual teams have to prioritize. And who knows? Maybe keep an eye on the roadmap. I'm going to say that a lot throughout the course of the I have said that a lot throughout the course of the show. When you want to see what's coming next and that's what the public roadmap is for. But hopefully it's a gameplay feature I want. It's a gameplay feature I think many people want. I don't think there's anybody. I don't think the other side of that argument. Oh no, we shouldn't have settings persistence. Right. I don't think they have much of a leg to stand on. Well, I can't sit here and absolutely commit that it will happen. I think the chances are in our favor. So
yeah.
All right, Chad. I want to let you go, man. Thanks so much.
Good to hear from you.
All right, take care. All right, thanks so much.
Yes, he's buying a new ship. Let's watch that. That's from 27 August from a YouTuber called Montoya.
Okay, I'm buying it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I am Montoya. I've slept on it. I've given this some thought. You know, I'm very hesitant about adding new ships, but I went and did it. I melted down my Constellation Andromeda for stock credit, and I'm about to buy the Mercury. I think they hit it out the park. I've been staring at this GIF now for about 10 minutes, and I'll tell you why exactly I'm going to purchase this ship. This is the new iconic ship of Star Citizen. It used to be, you can pull up the ship matrix here. I'm comparing the Constellation to the new Mercury Star Runner. The Constellation was meant to be the iconic ship of Star Citizen. You guys who've been here from the beginning, remember very, very early on when Chris Roberts was showing off the Constellation, he was saying, hey, this is the Millennium Falcon of Star... I can't do his accent. I can't do anything like Chris Roberts. Oh, can I? The Constellation was supposed to be the Millennium Falcon of Star Citizen, but it has been out-Millennium Falconed by the Mercury. And it was a very, very tough decision to get rid of the Constellation because it was the first ship I ever pledged for. And but you know what? The Mercury just outdoes it. Well, it doesn't outdo anything as far as the actual stats of the ship, but just the aesthetics of it is just right, you know. And for the price range, okay, $200. Okay, I'm using stock credit, so it's going to be $225. For those of you that are new to Star Citizen and go, holy crap, $225 is a ridiculous amount. But keep in mind, those of us that have been here for a long, long time, we haven't just thrown in a big pool of money right from the beginning. Maybe some of you have. But for most of us, we put in $50 here, $20 there, $10 here, $50 there over the years. So here we are 4 years later. I've got $225 in stock credit, and, well, I do now because I melted the Constellation. And I've been waiting to put it towards something. And the Mercury Star Runner is that ship. So price range, they hit it exactly where it needs to be. For what it does, it's an all-rounder. It does cargo, it does data, it is a medium, it is fast. It hits on all the points. And most importantly for me is the aesthetic. It just looks like the kind of ship that I want to use in this game a lot. The Constellation, while it's always going to be, I think, the unique ship, it just doesn't speak to me the way the Mercury did.
Oops.
It is a medium, it is fast, it hits on all the points. And
Yes.
most importantly for me,
Talking about this ship. Yes, the ship's designer. That's from 23. That's a new one.
Hey everyone, and welcome to day one of our 2948 anniversary special. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Chris Roberts.
With CitizenCon last month, we celebrated Star Citizen's birthday. But for those of you who are new to Star Citizen, you're probably asking what our anniversary is all about.
Yes, so every November around this time, we celebrate the closing of our original crowdfunding campaign, which ended with a pretty big bang, and we set a bunch of records, although we continued to set them beyond that, but it was kind of a cool event, and it involved a lot of ships and new ships coming out, and so every year we do this anniversary event and have the same kind of celebration.
Yes, and now there are many things to do in Star Citizen today, including exploring the surfaces of our fully realized planet Hurston.
Yes, and its 4 moons.
And the 3 moons of Crusader.
Space station, truck stops.
Yes, cargo, bounty, and trade missions.
That's right, and asteroid fields and scramble races.
First-person combat in derelict underground facilities.
Yes, and activities like mining and exploring.
And let's not forget the variety of emergent gameplay our backers invent for themselves, which is pretty cool.
They do some very cool stuff. But right now, we're going to do back to the core of what Star Citizen started with, which is about our spacecraft.
Yes, your spacecraft. There are now 80 flyable ships and vehicles to choose from in the game today. Ships for almost every single purpose, from single-seater starter ships all the way up to serious multi-crew ships.
And in celebration of our community, this anniversary, for the very first time, we are making all of our ships that are flyable available
to the community throughout the week.
Yes, we will be featuring a different manufacturer each day, and we'll kick off things today with Anvil Aerospace. They are unveiling the newest addition to their lineup, the Aero Light Fighter, and it's straight to flyable, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool, and so you can check it out. No more arguing about how the concept's going to turn out. It's like fly it, which is something we also did with the Valkyrie. But it's also a nod to the Wing Commander Arrow, which is kind of cool, because I like to have some ships, like the Hornet or the Arrow, that are also Wing Commander ships in the Star Citizen universe. And it is Anvil's answer to the popular Gladius Light Fighter from Aegeus. The Arrow is Anvil saying to the world, or the universe as it were, we can be fast and nimble too. And Anvil's not normally known for that. They tend
What are they known for?
More beefy, tougher military grade stuff, but not necessarily fast and maneuverable.
All right, well, to discuss the ships of Anvil Aerospace, here are John Crew, Chris Smith, Alwyn Batchelor, and Jared Huckabee. Take it away, guys.
All right, so Anvil Aerospace. There are actually, I think there are 15 or 16 Anvil ships, and 10 or 11 of them that are flyable now.
There's sort of five of the Mark 1.
The arrows.
Ah, the Arrows, the big reveal today. It's actually going into the game today. It's flyable now.
Right.
You worked on the Arrow.
So the Arrow is Anvil's answer to the Gladius in sort of the light fighter category, right? So that's sort of been missing in their entire lineup for a while now, and they're finally bringing something out to answer Aegis. It is a super quick, super nimble ship with a really small profile, so it's actually small in the Gladius. It'll be harder to shoot. You can fold the wings up, so you can stack a ton of them on a ship.
Sounds like it's Anvil trying something
Yeah,
new.
that was their weakness, was the agility, and the Arrow is there to firmly try and
Rounds it off, obviously.
Manufacturers, real world manufacturers, they either hyper specialize into one thing, or they go broad to cater for everything. And it was a very obvious gap at the bottom end of the fighter scale.
You know, and I think a lot of people dismiss a ship like the Gladius and like the Arrow because it's just nimble and it can't take all the hits and it doesn't have the best firepower. But I can attest to seeing that in the hands of the right pilot, like when Vinny Sinatra flies around in a Gladius, he tears all of us up in the studio. It's a ship like a light, nimble ship like that in the hands of a pilot that really knows how to use it.
It caters
is
to
devastating.
It caters to a really good pilot. Yeah.
To be fair, though, the Arrow, I actually do think, as a beginner, is a really fun ship to fly.
You were talking about it the other day when you got to fly for the first time.
Right. It's so easy to fly.
You were sending me messages.
I was like, oh my God, this thing is super fun because it's super nimble. I was able to sort of fly circles around things that I would smash into on other ships. And it still packs a massive punch. And the way we laid out the guns, too, and you're in the cockpit firing, it really feels like you're just surrounded by firepower. It's freaking awesome.
Nice.
All right, so Anvil overall, though, when you think of Anvil, what does it mean to be an Anvil ship?
It's sort of, they are the big defense contractor. They provide that military firepower. Even the non-combat-y ships had a military past.
Right.
They're there for just tanking their way through stuff.
If you want to survive, you get an Anvil ship.
Yeah.
If you're going to get into a fight and you want to survive, get an Anvil ship. Every time.
Reliable, the latest tech. Yeah, sort of like going up to the government saying, hey, I want an F-14 in my garage.
You can't go wrong with the Hornet. You can't go. And the Hornet's been flyable in Star Citizen for over 4 years now. And then you've got the Terrapin and stuff like that. The Terrapin was built here in LA, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was built by Daniel and Jen. Right. And that's basically a flying tank, right? So to me, that ship is basically what Anvil is, right?
They're tough brawler ships. Even if they're not for brawling, they're still rugged.
Yeah, I think durable. I'm not the best pilot in the game, as anybody who's actually played the game with me can attest. So I tend to like Anvil ships because I need a ship that can take the beating personally. Now, later this year, we have another Anvil ship coming online, the Anvil Hawk, which was actually introduced during last year's anniversary special. That's being built here in LA, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So how's the Hawk coming along?
The Hawk is still got quite a bit of work to do to get that finished out, but it serves a totally different purpose than the Arrow does. In terms of its firepower, it's sort of in the same class, but it's a bounty hunter ship, right? So it's got a prison pod in the back.
Talk to me about
bounty hunting. Yeah.
Talk to me about bounty hunting.
But yeah, it has that
sort of pod chair thing at the back.
Yeah.
So when you've incapacitated someone, you lump them in there, and then they're trapped. Essentially, it's small. It has got sort of the similar firepower to the arrow, but it is a slightly bigger. It's not particularly bigger, but it's in a different shape format. It's very
I would say
aggressively posed.
Well, the pose is super aggressive on that ship, especially once it's landed, it has a very aggressive posture. But once it opens up, I think it's much bigger than the arrow.
It's very animal-like.
Yeah, it is. It looks like you've got a bird of prey sort of perched up, looking down. Yeah, like a hawk. Yeah.
Highlander time, if you have to cut every anvil ship from your fleet and only keep one.
I'll go for reliability. I'll go with the Mark 1 Hornet, maybe.
How about you, Owen?
Since I'm a terrible pilot, it will have to be the Hurricane, because I don't have to fly that ship. I can just man the turret.
That is a pretty badass turret, though.
Oh, it is, yeah. If I could rip the ship away and just have the turret, that's what I was
just want
thinking.
to have that Luke Skywalker moment.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I want.
kind of like the F4 that was built around that cannon. The Hurricane built around that turret.
Yeah, it really was. That's the main focus of it, and I think it really delivers.
All right, and I have a feeling I know what John Crew is going to say, so I'm just going to go ahead and cover my ears now.
I'll just not say it. I'll just sit here for 5 minutes. No, it's the Carrack, your favourite ship.
My favourite ship.
That you were forced to like.
I was forced to like it. I did put it up to the community to pick my favourite ship, and I am legally bound by my obligation to the community to say the Carrack is my favourite ship.
Out of all the ships we have in the game, I think that's the one that people are most excited for. It does a bit of everything that you can do in the game. It's a big explorer, a big multi-crew ship. You can use your friends. It's got a scout ship. It's got a rover in it. It can carry cargo. It's got a little medical bay to heal stuff. It's got a little repair bay to repair stuff.
kind of like the F4 that was built around that cannon. The Hurricane built around.
Should maybe get that ship,
really
this
That's
anvil.
the main focus of it, and I think it really delivers.
All right, and I have a feeling I know what John Crew is going to say, so I'm just going to go ahead and cover my ears now.
I'll just not say it. I'll just sit here for 5 minutes. No, it's the Carrack, your favourite ship.
My favourite.
Carrack, anvil, Carrack. You have no anvil. And the Carrack. Hurricane. Yes, this one Carrack. I was watching on that because I had a crew of 6. Yes, but you cannot buy this yet. The anvil Carrack features reinforced fuel tanks, long duration flight, advanced jump drive, and a dedicated computer core for jump chartering operations. Original and military exclusive, the Carrack is now area for civilian onboard accommodation, crew medical and repair and the mapping. Yes. Disclaimer, these are our current version. Yes. I was thinking about it because I can have a crew of 6. That would be very good if you have a group in Star Citizen you play, you have a crew of 6. I did saw that ship last night, but it's not for sale. Yes, this one I need to have, anvil, Carrack. Fuse, okay, L, that's large, radar, large, medium, power, large, shields, okay, S, small, medium, large, okay. It's no numbers, it's not small, medium, large, fuel tank, has large, everything. 4 turrets, no missiles. slot 6, yes. This is the one, but probably, yes, it's not for sale.